Boom. Happy holiday Monday. I'm Russ Kane. This one, the Macking Thursday, whatever you were doing, what were you doing then? Oh, and Neil's just gone. There we are. Okay, normal service is resumed as soon as humanly possible. How's everybody? Neil, can you hear me? Neil,
loud and clear,
can you
sir.
hear me? Over.
Loud and clear, sir.
This is weird. Oh, great! I've got the most sensational lag. How weird is that? Never mind. Okay, so greetings, everybody. Apologies for my absence. Life gets confusing and life gets very busy. Anyway, all being well, I'm kind of back at the hold. Not as good a picture as normal. I'm so sorry. Absolutely nothing I can do about it. It's the location. Anyway, Neil, what have you been up to? What's going on?
I had a fairly chill bank holiday weekend. Had a fun night last night. Had a karaoke night round at my house. It was a rap party for the Amdram production I was in, and that was really fun.
Hang on,
because I can't sing. I would never claim to.
You were in an Amdram production. Oh my God! Of what?
Yes.
Of
it was called Who Done
What
It.
Were you in?
It was called Who Done It, and I played a rear admiral.
Sounds rude. And
everyone says that.
Who done it? Oh, so it was like a Cluedo thing, right? Like a Cluedo.
Yeah, kind of. It was a Who Done It. It was good fun.
Wowza! How fantastic is that? Blooming marvelous.
Yes,
Fabulous.
It was good fun.
Anyway, and you enjoyed it?
Yes, very much so. So we had a bit of a
Are you going to talk about the other thing
last night?
Get you, mister. Get you. What's going on with you? Wowza. I was going to ask you a question. Are you able to talk about what we talked about before, just before the show, or no? Or you don't want to?
No,
I haven't had a chance to. I think.
I'd rather not.
Fair enough. Understood.
Yeah, I'd rather not, if you don't mind.
No. I get it. It's about. I'm not going to say anything too much, but what I will say is about how people can't wait to take offense, and how people take offense over absolutely anything and nothing. It's extraordinary.
The term woke is bandied about quite a lot. All right.
Yes, it is.
And in my opinion, there's good woke and bad woke. And I was having a conversation with a very dear friend last night, and he says, I'm quite woke. I care about the planet. I care about people suffering, and I enjoy a good inappropriate joke as well, if you know what I mean. That's being able to separate it and, live your values and appreciate that humor is humor and only that. And then the other people just kind of jump on any bandwagon and really cause more problems than they're trying to solve, if you know what I mean. And they just kind of spread negativity and disruption, and it's just very, very annoying, put mildly.
I think, do you know what I honestly think?
What?
I think they're fanatics. I think they're like Nazis. And I use the term
I think that's
lightly.
going a bit too far.
No, I don't think it is, because I think the banning of thought, the banning of books, the I know he's not a Nazi, the Stalinist revisionism of stuff. I think that's right. Let's do some comments and then we'll come back to our chit chat. Sam Monroe, I just wanted to pop by and show my support on bank holiday. It's good to support your mates. Thank you very much, Sen.
Happy bank holiday, Sen.
Yeah, Azadon Brown, a good day all. That's from the northeastern United States. Martin Allen, good afternoon, my darling. Charlie Drake.
Afternoon, Martin.
John Yates. Hello, Russ and Neil. And what we've got, Luke Newman. Good afternoon, gents. Good to see you back, Russ. Thanks very much. Thank you for another last week. Now me on the show on Monday too. Well done.
Yes,
well
we
done,
had Luke
Boogie.
on as an impromptu guest, talking about the wonderful work that he
nice.
does, and it was a fantastic interview. So thank you for that, Luke. It was great to have you on.
He does
Cheers,
great.
mate.
He does great. He does great work. I was just, what have we got here? Zolts. And what is a Zolt? Says
I don't know what a Zolt is. It sounds like something.
Is that like a zealot? Is that like a zealot or is it taken from a book? It could be taken from a book. I'm not entirely sure. Interesting to know from Ken Evans. Now, I got something interesting to say to you, Neil Longy Long of New Malden.
Oh yeah.
I just had confirmation that one of my comedy heroes. Now he will mean nothing to you, and I'm not being rude, but I've managed to get him on the show in July. It's a guy called Dave Landau.
Okay.
Dave Landau, who is a comedian. He's American. I've never met him, but we became sort of Twitter pals. He's huge in America. Huge. I know you won't know him over here. And this morning, he finally confirmed that he's going to come on our little show when he's over. He's doing a show in Soho. He's coming over to London. I'm hoping to meet him. But he's coming onto the show because he's been very open about his mental health issues. He's been very open about his addiction and his recovery from addiction of booze, and mainly booze.
Okay.
And and if any of you have been following the Zealots, I was right. Zealots. There you go. That's what he meant. Zealots. Do you know who Stephen Crowder is? If you don't, you don't. Oh, thank you, Sen. Yes, I've got Dave Landau. Yeah, I have. Absolutely. I've been in contact with Dave for a long, long time. Do you know who Stephen Crowder is at all?
And the name is familiar, but I couldn't.
But if you don't, I mean, it's not a trick question or anything. It's so opposite to what's going on in America, and you know I'm obsessed with that because I think over here, I don't know what the hell we're doing. I've completely given up. But over there, the division between left and right, or anybody who isn't, liberal, I mean, it's just enormous. And you've heard of the Daily Wire, I presume. The Daily Wire? Mm-hmm. Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, and all of those. And Stephen Crowder's got a show called Louder with Crowder, which I was obsessed with watching. Didn't always agree with him, Neil, at all. Sometimes you'd sit there going, whoa. I mean, he sits with a gun, with an automatic gun on his desk, and he sits with a holster to prove about the Second Amendment. We're not going to get into it. That's his choice. They live and work in Texas. Do what they want. Not our business. We have a very different culture over here. We don't have a culture of guns. And he turned down, he was offered these YouTube shows, and then on Rumble and The Blaze and other things like that, all of which I'm obsessed with, all of which behind the scenes, Neil, we are working slowly to grow this, and obviously with you. He turned down, you ready? Mm-hmm. $50 million to join the Daily Wire. He turned down $50 million, Stephen Crowder. How much do you think he wanted? This is a show on YouTube. How much do you think he wanted? Well, I'll put you out your misery. 120 million.
Wow.
He turned down $50 million. Now, much like you and I have, the Stephen Crowder setup is there's him in the main chair, and but he's got a huge bank of technicians. I didn't realize how huge, we've got Ken. They've got who
is very effective.
Ken is, well, I've got big plans for Ken. I've got to tell you, I've got big plans for Ken. Because he's fantastic and he bloody well deserves it. And you deserve it. And we all deserve it. We all deserve it where we're trying to get to. And the audience deserves it. Anyway, it's Stephen Crowder, and he has what they call the third chair, which was with Dave Landau. So Stephen would be talking to again, Dave, like we chit chat, and Dave's chipping in with gags and comments, and it was great. And I became a big fan. I started writing to him, and to my amazement, we started a conversation, this, that, and the other, and then suddenly, Dave Landau was gone. No explanation, no goodbye, nothing. So I'm thinking, it's odd. And then last week, he broke his silence and went on some of these other very big sort of YouTube channels. I mean, it's not like the little stuff we've got here. They've got millions and millions of millions of subscribers, like crazy numbers, right? And he explained why he left the Louder with Crowder show. And it was like the scales was removed from my eyes, Neil. I was shocked.
Go on, I'm
I was
intrigued.
disappointed. The way it comes across, Stephen Crowder is all about free speech, freedom of speech, free speech, all the rest of it, yeah? Which I concur with. And I side more with him than I do with like the Biden administration, etc., etc. Okay, that's just me. I'm not prescribing it for everybody. It's just me. So they wanted him to sign a contract. One, you will move. He's got his kid in school. He's set up. You've got to move your family, right? That's number one. Number two, you cannot be more than 5 minutes late. If you are 5 minutes late, there's all these penalties. Why this is so wrong to say, right? Three, and then he said, and he was talking to this guy, and he's done quite a few interviews. It caused a ruckus because Stephen Crowder is one of the biggest names on the internet in America. He had, Neil, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Now, this is a guy filling huge arenas, filling, theaters all over America. This is not some idiot. He had a yellow light. And when the yellow light went on, he had to shut up because he had to make Stephen Crowder look good.
Oh, no.
I was absolutely flabbergasted. He was under strict instructions that he had to make Stephen look better than him.
Okay.
Couldn't do a punchline. I mean, I was like, can you imagine if I did that with like you or Phil Dane? I mean, it's just like, I couldn't get over it. I could not get over it. But the irony is, when Crowder refused the $50 million to join the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro and Cans and all the rest of them, whether you like them or not, they do a very professional job. It's a huge organization. What he did, which I thought was really low, was two things. One, read out the contract. It's not our business. Whatever I discuss with you or Phil or Ken, it's not anyone's business. It's behind the scenes stuff. He read out the contract, how onerous it was. And I sat there thinking, hang on, whoa. They're paying you $50 million. I think they're entitled to put in some stipulations. Am I wrong? 50 mil? I mean, you're looking at me like either I'm making this up or I don't know. Anyway, and then what he did, which I thought was really low, the head of the Daily Wire, whose name's escaped me, I'm sorry, it's very unprofessional, but it has, was an old friend of his. They'd known each other for many, many years. He taped the conversation, private conversation on the phone, and played it on his show. And I thought that sucked. And I lost a lot of respect for that. I thought that was low. And now, out of nowhere, he's getting divorced. Stephen Crowder, apparently. My business? Nothing to do with me. It's not my business, not your business. It's a private matter. Boom, it's everywhere. And I thought, sometimes, what do you think, Neil? I think I get, 10 million, you're right. 10 million lira. What do you think about some of that, Neil? Breaking it down.
It's insane, isn't it?
That was my feeling. Do you think that power really goes to people's heads? I'm not talking about,
yes.
I wonder if people just, suddenly you're so powerful, you think you can do anything and you can do anything. Wow, I felt stupidly disappointed because I saw him as a voice of freedom, arguing against the madness of the world. All of this stems from what's happened to you. That's my point.
Okay.
And that's why that was why I was riffing on it, because of what, the thing we were chit-chatting about. And it's like so disappointing when people you look up to, and then you think, oh God, they're all the bloody same. When you cut through the veneer, it's the same shit, different day. Luke, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. James Corden, would you like to read that, Neil?
Well, according to Luke, James Corden got offered 50 million to stay in his job in the USA, which he turned down to come home. And that is crazy, crazy money. You're absolutely right.
I would pay James Corden 50 million not to come back to Britain, but there you go.
Harsh.
Just me. Can't stand him. You ever met him?
No.
Liz Saul, who I think you know. What does
you should
she
always
say,
be professional in your work. It doesn't matter what industry it's, a small one. And people get to know and hear how others are treated or behave. Very much so.
Totally. And the other thing they said to Dave Landau, which absolutely floored me, they go, oh, you have to be here at 7 a.m. And you go, but the show doesn't start, I don't know, 10 or something like that, Eastern Standard. What is it? Texas is Eastern Standard Time, or whatever the hell it is, I don't know. And so the interviewer, the guy was saying, well, what did you do? He said, nothing. I had to sit in a separate room while they rehearsed. Why? Oh, so I didn't hear the jokes. So he'd sit there literally doing nothing. What have we got here? This is good. Martin Allen, give the right person power, they produce magic. Give the wrong person their true colors. Oh, isn't that true, man? Facebook user, Neil?
Does power go to your head? I think the correct question is, why do those in power let it go to their heads?
Which is why we have a radio station all about mental health and well-being, because that really is the point of my little monologue there, is some people can get to enormous positions of power and remain level-headed, grounded, down to earth. I don't know. We met a few weeks ago Brian May from Queen, right? One of the biggest rock stars in the world, yeah, multi-squillionaire, etc., etc. One of the nicest, most normal, delightful people you could meet.
Yes.
Just a lovely, lovely man, as is Anita Dobson. Charming woman. Charming.
Yes. I met her lovely backstage once.
And you can go up to them and you chat. Like we're chatting. They're just lovely. So all of that power, all that fame, all of that fortune didn't go to their heads. They're lovely. Meet some twat from Big Brother or something. God almighty. God almighty. What have we got here? Asa Don Brown. Neil.
Luke Newman and I heard James Corden discuss this offer and his desire to return to his homeland on Fox News. Fair enough.
Well, doesn't... Oh, yeah. Elizabeth Green, what a brilliant point. And what Elizabeth says is, Neil?
Doesn't insecurity drive power madness?
Couldn't agree with you more. I think what happens with... what have we got? Hang on. Liz is coming back with something. Right. Lovely viewing figures today. Thank you, guys. I know it's Bank Holiday Monday, but...
Yeah, thanks for showing up today.
Thank you so much for joining.
Certain standards for yourself. Be civil, manners cost nothing, it goes a long way. Hello, good morning, how do you do? Work hard, check your facts, be sober.
Absolutely blooming right. I think what happens with fame and fortune is that you were always an unpleasant person. But you didn't have the power, you didn't have the platform to show that unpleasantness. But that was always within you. You weren't a nice person. And suddenly, you're richer than God. Everybody's kissing your backside. They think they need you. You think you're adored. You got all this money. And that nastiness can just come straight to the surface from within you. I think if you're a decent person to start with, it doesn't affect you. You can enjoy the freedom that money gives you. Chris Tarrant, right? Neil and I worked with Chris Tarrant for many, many years. Me particularly because of the breakfast show for 20 years, 5 days a week. Never had a falling out, never had a crossword. It's true. Chris Tarrant, at the height, I mean, he's semi-retired, but at the height of everything, was one of the most successful, popular people in the United Kingdom. Huge, couldn't do wrong. I mean, who wants to be a millionaire? All the rest of it. Completely unchanged. He was the same guy as when he was just doing Tiswas or just doing a little lunchtime show on Capital. Didn't change.
What do you think of the quote I put on the screen?
I think it's absolutely right. I think you're right. Money, this is Neil's quote, money does not corrupt, it reveals. I mean, how many times have you met? I remember somebody. This is how money can make you lose. What's the word I'm looking for, Neil? You know, not when you're grounded. Perspective. I was going through a very, very, very bad time. Yet again, some years back, quite a few years back, and I was over a friend's house who was very successful. Doesn't matter who it was. Very, very successful. And I was really up against it. Life was not going well. It was not the moment for my friend to bring out catalogues and saying, yeah, I've got a problem. I swear to God. What's the problem? I'm not going to say who it was. He goes, I don't know what colour leather to have on my yacht.
Oh, right.
And I had to leave. I actually had to leave. I was very polite. I thought, for the love of God, I'm sitting here thinking, how the bloody hell am I going to pay next month's mortgage and all the rest of it, all the shit that we go through. And this guy's biggest concern was what colour from the swatches he shoved under my face, swatch leather should he have on his yacht? Like,
well, I'd say that his timing wasn't great.
But what does it say about perspective? What does it say about perspective?
You see, some people turn around and they judge money itself or judge people with money. And I think that's a mistake as well. Because we get a lot of people who see these people, if you like, abusing their position or being really awful and getting to the top of things. I don't want to be like that. But I think that's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It is possible to have plenty of money, as we know, and be a grounded, decent person. They're not mutually exclusive.
No.
I like money. You can do a lot of good with money. Money is not, and there's also lots of kind of things we're growing up believing about money. This is a good description, and I think. Oh, hello. Oh, before I just do this, Richard Salvage, DJ
hello,
named Richie Vince, who did a fantastic fundraising gig for Mind in Kingston. He did it on Saturday, and
well done,
you may
Richard.
not know about Richie Vince.
Great stuff.
He is a fantastic DJ. Yes. Those in power, let power go to their heads because there's so few checks and balances. They know they can get away with doing whatever they like. The public are too busy surviving to notice. Yeah, fair play. And thanks for your gig on Saturday, Richie. Very well done to you, sir.
I'm going to put that comment back. I'd add to Richard's comment is this, Neil, see if you agree or not, is that if you are I'm not going to mention names because these people are very litigious. If you are let's take a television personality, all right? If you are a major cash cow to that television company, because you've got fantastic ratings, they will circle the wagons around you and protect you. So the public are indeed too busy trying to survive and going into Tesco, Aldi and Lidl, looking at the prices and going, you've got to be kidding me. But those people get heavily protected because they earn the television company a lot of money. The moment you are not that popular, you get thrown to the wolves. That's the nature of the beast.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is, Neil will have seen, Neil, I'm sure, will back me up on this. I hope, or say what you will. People would put up with that. They may not like you, but they'll put up with it because everyone's feeding off you. You're employing a lot of people because the advertising is coming in or the ratings are, etc. But if you're a complete shit, people will be waiting for you. And the moment your star starts to wane, everyone that you've been horrible to or trod on your way up, they're waiting for you. And they will give you a sound kicking. That's my view. And I think it's true. That's the nature of life. And as Liz Saul said about 10 minutes ago, manners cost nothing. It costs nothing to be nice. It takes less time to be nice than it does to be horrible. Never got it. Neil's put this up.
Can I go back to my point about money?
Please.
People have, including me, we've all been kind of conditioned, if you like. And if you were to put money or the word money in front of people, or look at money in the dictionary, people will go, money, not enough. Money, struggle. Money, the root of all evil, which is not what the Bible says, by the way.
Does it not?
No.
Does it not? What does it say? I
No,
have no
it
idea.
doesn't. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. I don't particularly agree with that either. You can love money and do great things with it. But I think what it means in that context is that
don't
people
believe anything in the Bible.
But it's also true that people do very bad things for money, and I think that's what it's alluding to.
Of course,
But look. Here's the thing. Okay, money is a tool. All right, it's a tool. A knife is a tool. Yeah. It doesn't make the knife bad. No. It's what you do with it. Okay.
Same as a gun, by the way. I know that's
if you like.
unpopular. That's my view. Unpopular, I know, but it's the same as the gun. The gun isn't inherently evil. The gun.
No, guns don't kill. People do. Goldie Looking Jane does a song about that. Yeah. So if I stab somebody with a knife, that's me who's got the problem, not the knife. If I use the knife to cut my steak or make a delicious salad, that doesn't make the tool bad. It's the same with money. It comes back to this. It comes back to this. There's nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with having loads of money. I'd love to see everyone completely abundant and have plenty of money and not struggle. But all the time we believe it's going to be a struggle, or we so don't want to be like that nasty person over there, then we kind of cut ourselves out the loop. What we've got to say to ourselves is, yeah, I deserve money. I'm a good person. I'm worthy of it. And because other people have abused their power, that's got sod all to do with me. I'm going to live by my values. And if that includes having a lot of money and doing good with money, that's up to me. And what anyone else does is up to them. I choose to use this tool in a good, productive way for myself, the people I love, and then overflow out to society. And if I can inspire people to say, yes, you can be a good guy or girl and have money, then so be it. And I see nothing wrong with that. And
there is nothing
wrong. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because other people have abused their power, we don't want to disallow the good that might be available to us just because of the bad behavior of a minority. Fair?
I agree with you. You're pushing an open door as far as I'm concerned.
Asa Don Brown, mammon. Now I've heard this. The biblical term for riches, often used to describe the debasing influence of material wealth. Well, again, it comes back to this. If people get really rich and then they think they're better than anyone else and they can do anything, if it comes back to abuse of power, but also there's been some really interesting studies from the positive psychology field. And what they found is money the key to happiness? No. But it's not the key to misery either. This is where people throw the baby out with the bathwater. And what the science says is once people have enough for their basic needs, just so they're comfortable, so they don't have to worry about paying their bills, they know their family is going to be okay, that sort of thing. Once you get to that level of enoughness, what the science has found anymore doesn't make you any happier. And that's interesting. So let's put money back into its proper context. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not evil. It's a tool. Use the tool wisely. Use the knife to cut the steak, not stab someone. It's not difficult.
Nicely put. Nicely put. And the other thing is, my view about money is I'm not interested in, this is just me. I'm not interested in material things. I've given away in the last 2 weeks. I'm not going into why, but I had a bit of a road to Damascus moment. I've given nearly everything away. I know. Nearly everything. Apart from my computing equipment and my clothes. I've given nearly everything away. Because it's just stuff. And then I've gone through what I kept. And I've given probably 50% of everything to charity shops.
Right.
That I actually have. Well, that was my decision. That was my decision to just clean the house, literally and metaphorically. So for me, money it's not about things. There's no thing that I actually want. Doesn't mean I've got everything. What I mean is I could walk past, give a stupid example. I don't know. When I'm meeting the boys for a cigar in town, I walk past the Porsche showroom on Piccadilly. Beautiful. Am I standing in the window dying on my ass because I don't have a Porsche anymore? I've had two in the past. It was lovely. That was then. This is now. No, I admire it. I walk past the jewelers, which have got beautiful displays of Rolexes. Do I stand there and admire them? Yes. Is it driving me mad that I can't go in and buy? Not at all. Don't care. Don't care. For me, money is simply peace of mind.
Exactly.
Simply
And that's what
peace of mind. It's nothing else.
I know. And that's exactly, I think, what people are seeking. And it is quite interesting to point out that people that do believe their basic needs at the very least will be met and have peace of mind generally find that that happens. It's about you. It's got nothing to do with anyone else. It doesn't matter what that person over there is doing or that person over there is doing. You've got the right to live your values as you see fit. For me, as I say, I like money. I'd like to have lots of money, and I'd have a lot of fun with it and do a lot of good with it. Why not? There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Richard, we in the UK have a poor relationship with money. We all need to be envious of those with it. This is what I mean, Richie.
Richard, you're right.
We're not taught about it in schools. Used correctly, it buys freedom from wage slavery.
Yes.
Used incorrectly, it binds you to an oppressive debt cycle. Perfect. Again, it comes back to what I'm saying. It's not the tool, it's what you do with it.
Completely right. You know, Richard, the point you raised, I'll come on to Aza's point in a second, is Neil and I bang on about it, talked about it with Phil Dave on a Friday, and in the past our guests have talked about it. The stuff you learn in school is based on the Victorian ethics or the Victorian model of education. It should stay in Victorian times. It's finished. People need basic financial awareness, just basic stuff. I'm not asking them to be a senior partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers. And what I'm saying is understand a household budget, because one day you're going to have a household, even if you're renting.
Exactly.
You know, algebra,
learn ways,
unless you're going to be an engineer. Money. Yes.
Learn how to manage money, respect money, get money in its proper context, that it's a tool. It's not the route to happiness, but it's not the route to misery either. Both of those views. You know, money's going to make me happy, not helpful. Money is going to make me unhappy, not helpful. No. Neither of those are true. It's a middle ground. It's a tool.
Asa says this: for me, money is an instrument or tool to help an individual reach a particular destination in this life.
There's a really good exercise in a Paul McKenna book. Paul McKenna wrote a book called "I Can Make You Rich," and I would recommend it. In fact, I recommend anything by Paul McKenna.
No, we love Paul. Is he not still one of the nicest blokes?
He's a lovely guy. And what he did, he went with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It's based on the premise that everyone's got different strategies for doing things. And if one person's got a successful strategy for something, that can be taught to other people. All skills are learnable. So making money is a skill, okay? And it's a learnable skill, like anything else. Okay, so learn that skill and then learn to be happy as well. They're two different things, okay? And when we get them too confused, like Elizabeth says on screen, we can get ourselves into trouble. But ultimately, making money and learning how to create money, which is possible, is a learnable skill. Why not create millions? You know, if we live in an unlimited universe, why not create absolute mega abundance? Makes no difference. You can go to the sea with a thimble or go to the sea with a blooming great container. It's still going to be a lot of sea left. So, but the interesting thing is, well, it's true. You can't. Here's a point, though. This is really important for people that have got issues with money. You can't, unless you do it unethically, you can't take from anyone else by succeeding yourself. Being poor doesn't help poor people. It's a bit like saying being ill helps ill people to be well. It doesn't. That's backward. That's like trying to screw for virginity or bombing for peace. You can't do it. The best thing you can do to help poor people is to become abundant yourself and leave a trail and show other people how to do it. The best thing you can do for ill people is demonstrate health. Surely.
It is, somebody, forgive me, I can't remember who mentioned it in the comments, but Neil, it's the British disease. And the British disease is envy. They don't have it so much in the States. They really don't. But in England, for some reason, in Great Britain, the politics of envy and so much of the political comings and goings is based on envy. I haven't got it, therefore you won't have it. I haven't got it, I'm not going to allow you to have it, even
But
though
why not turn that
you've got.
round? Why not? You've got it, and I want it,
Don't ask
and I
me.
find that envy is not a bad thing. Envy says, "You've got that. I really want that. What did you do to get it? What can I do to get it?" It can cause you to raise your game a bit. It can cause you to raise your game. Envy is not always bad. There's people I'm envious of. There's comedians I'm envious of because of their talent. It doesn't mean I want to bring them down.
Hang on. Be the change you want to see in others. I'm going to pull you up on that, Neil Long. That's from Elizabeth Green. Are you actually envious of them? Because envy is not an emotion that I don't have envy.
Right. Let me break this down a little bit.
Okay.
There's envy, and then in my mind, there's jealousy. All right. Envy.
Say that again. The
proper way.
Yeah.
Okay. Envy used in the proper way can make you aspire to something better. Okay. So I see a comedian, for example, who's absolutely at the top of his game. I don't know, Milton Jones, someone like that. And I think, wow, I would love to be that good. Wow, that's brilliant. Which causes me to raise my game and ask myself what I can do to raise my game. That's not a bad thing.
That's not envy.
That's my definition of envy.
Oh, but it's not. Okay. You're not envious of him.
Okay, this is the danger we fall into. We use different words, and they have different meanings to different people. For me, jealousy is the opposite, and that's trying to pull someone down. That's what you're describing. If you're not going to have it,
I think that
you've got it. If I can't have it, you can't have it, and I'll do what I can to pull you down.
Jealousy is not pretty. And we see that so often in politics and all those twerps on Question Time and everything else. Envy.
Can I just share something?
Please.
A quick exercise. If you've got money issues, which most people have, and you think money is bad, okay, I'm contesting that money is simply a tool, and people say things like money doesn't grow on trees, money is a struggle, money is the root of all evil, which is inaccurate again. Here is a way around that. Shovels, they're a tool as well. Let's put shovels into that context, and it seems a bit ridiculous. Shovels don't grow on trees. The love of shovels is the root of all evil. You have to struggle for your shovels.
That's very good.
When you put it in that context, it becomes a bit silly, and it kind of takes the sting out of it and puts it in a context. A shovel isn't evil. You can dig a great hole with it, or you can bash someone over the head with it. That's not the shovel. That's you. You're
absolutely right. I think the difference between jealousy and envy. I'm going to read what Liz Saul has posted, and she's absolutely right. I don't think envy is a good thing. It implies a sourness, absolutely, and a bit negative. It's very negative. There's nothing positive to come out of it. What you're saying about envy isn't envy. If you see someone doing or having something you want, it should be more about positive affirmation and action to get what you want too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I meant. When I said envy, that's what I meant, Liz's definition. And Richard's definition.
That's aspiration and the desire for self-improvement. I look at, like, if I look at great writers, no, all right, let's define great writers.
You are a great writer, Russ.
It's very sweet of you. But if I look at,
you are,
all right, you're very kind. If I look at writers that I admire, because I'm not going to get into it's not great literature. I don't care about that argument. What I'm talking about is, does the story engross me? Am I completely engaged in this tale? So I put up people like Janice Hallett, who we've had on the show, Anthony Horowitz, who's my writing hero, and all sorts of people, like going all the way back to anybody who tells a story and you go, wow, I can't put this, I love this story. Okay, I'm not envious ever of their success. And what I look at it is like, what can I learn from that? What are they doing that I'm not doing? How are they doing it? I try to deconstruct it. Like, why is this story engaging me? What is about their writing style that perhaps I could incorporate into my style, which is different from theirs, and make it better and improve it? Neil will be looking at a comedian, and I've done, my one-man stand-up show. I'm not in the mood for it at the moment. I will bring it back at some point, but early warning, you can hide now. And I look at all the other people who do these, and I think, And I don't mean a carbon copy, because that's ridiculous. Dave Chappelle is Dave Chappelle. You know, you can't be Andrew Schultz, fantastic, fabulous comedian in America. Andrew Schultz is Andrew Schultz. You can't pretend to be there. That's just horrible. But you can think, what are they doing that's engaging this crowd? Why are they getting the big laughs? You know, what is it about? Apologies for my typos. I'm multitasking, says Liz Saul. Hang on. That's insulting to all women. Just let the side down. Elizabeth Green in New York says, they inspire you. Inspiration is wonderful. I want to be... Elizabeth, I'm struggling with this. Neil, help me out.
They inspire you. Inspiration is wonderful. I want to be me, not them, but a better me. And that's when I use...
Thank you for reading that.
When I use the word envy, that's what I meant by it. You're using it differently, meaning, as is Liz, as a sourness, and that's, for the record, not what I meant when I said envy.
A bitterness about it, and it's like, life's too short.
I would call that jealousy personally, but this is just semantic.
Fine.
Martin Allen. Semantic. Now this is it. Martin Allen. Surround yourself with those that inspire you, add to your values, and who will always raise your game. Beautifully stated. Yeah, I've got goosebumps as I read that. That's my truth signal. If I get goosebumps, that's like my soul going #truth, Longy. Greatness inspires greatness. That's true. They do say with the
you're so spiritual. I get goosebumps. I think I could turn the heating up a bit. You are very spiritual. I'm like,
I don't know. No, sometimes I think I'm not. I'm not. Things I'm not religious at all. I'll take religion to pieces. But since I started studying spirituality, some of the stuff in religion makes sense, but not in the way that I was taught it. In a totally different way.
Richard, you are so. You know, in the same argument, if you're the most intelligent person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I couldn't agree with you more. It's like, you know, they used to say with property, don't have the nicest house in the road, because all the other houses are going to devalue to a degree your house. Being the best road, you're not going to be able to afford the nicest house. You know,
but isn't that, and this is really politically incorrect, and I don't mean anything but isn't that mindset kind of hanging around with people that are less good looking than you are, just so you can feel to them?
Totally. You know, when I was a kid and dating and everything like that, there'd always be, I'm sorry, you won't get this on other radio shows. You get it here because we just tell it like it is. There'd always be the attractive girl with her friend. And it was like the wingman, the friend, was never great looking, and the attractive girl was always good. Always. I mean, that's how that was it. Why? Because the friend makes the attractive girl look even more attractive. That's how it works. And don't be the most intelligent person. No, I love, if I can, surrounding myself with people who are way funnier, much wittier, much cleverer. I'm happy with that. It's great. You don't want to be in a room full of dummies.
Because it causes you to aspire and up your game.
Raise
and
your
then
game.
in that way,
about raising your game.
And in that way, we can all learn from each other in a positive way and build each other up, not put each other down. And that would make sense to me.
And what Neil is saying,
wonderful virtuous circle. It really can. Yeah. It just needs a change of attitude.
Liz
says, yes, Martin Allen. Having the right people for you around you is a good motivation. I've said this to Neil, and it has helped him. And actually what Liz says is very true. That's been brought home to me an awful lot of the time because I wasn't particularly used to it.
Did you feel threatened? I've known you for years. I can ask you this. Were you threatened by it? Were you threatened by that?
No.
Did you feel threatened?
No.
No. But you said I wasn't used to surrounding myself with.
Let me explain. I went through a stage of not having the right people around me, and I realised that these people were just essentially draining me because of their
energy
own
vampires.
Because of their own issues, because of their own shit, basically. And I thought, right, I've actually had enough of this. So some boundaries went in, some boundaries that have been very needed for a long time. And I do try and make sure that I have the right people around me. Because
Sen, what do you mean by that? I'm so sorry. Sen said, "Welcome to my world." What aspect, Sen? I'm interested. It's a genuine question. What aspect of welcome to my. What do you mean that you want to surround yourself with interesting people, or you want to be the smartest guy in the room? Like to know what you mean, because I'm just simply curious. By the way, when Neil says raising your game, can I add this? It doesn't mean raising your game so you're superhuman and you're super rich and you're driving a Bentley Bentayga and all the rest of it. It doesn't mean that. Well, you can if you want. It's up to you. Raising your game just means improving your life. Mentally, spiritually, if you believe in that sort of thing. Just improving your life in any way that suits you. It doesn't mean, I don't think Neil's saying, I'm not putting words in your mouth, Longy, but what I mean is, it's not saying, and getting to the top of the greasy pole, and once you're there, you're going to be executive vice president. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just raising your game and learning. Every day, you should learn something. You stagnate.
Yeah, I agree. We do need, I believe we do. It's kind of a balance. If you're raising your game, so-called, from a place of there's something wrong, I'm not good enough as I am, then you're kind of battling against yourself, because ultimately it's only about you and you, as it were. If you're raising your game because you're genuinely impressed and think, yeah, I want some of that in my life, I'm going to do that for myself because I think that's a great thing to do for myself, that's great. But if you're doing it so you can be better than someone else or jump over someone on the greasy pole, it's not a healthy way of doing it.
It's horrible. It'll bite you in the arse eventually.
Asa Don Brown.
Yeah, go on.
We must establish healthy boundaries in this life. I've learned the hard way. Yeah, as most of us do, Asa. That I must create boundaries to protect myself, my family, and our overall well-being. Yes, and that's true because you can't give from an empty cup, and particularly someone who's a professional like yourself. If your cup is empty, you need your cup to be overflowing, and to do that, you've got to be damn selfish and put yourself and your family first. So you've actually got something to give your clients. I would wager 100%, Asa.
I really like your phrase so much. You can't give from an empty cup, which I credit you with. I wouldn't have thought of it. It's not how my mind works, and it's so true.
Well, you can't.
But it's so true. Yeah, but it's so freaking obvious once it's pointed out. But people are exhausted. I mean, I'm exhausted at the moment. I don't kid you. But it's been a brutal few weeks. But nonetheless, until somebody points out you can't give from an empty cup, and you think, why? You can't. It's quite impossible. Neil, you're 100% right, fella. You're absolutely 100% right. Sen, you've chuckled, fella. Martin Allen. Men's Radio has brought the right people to the right platform for the right reason to help everyone fight their demons by being strong people to help those in need, and inspiring those to have a can-do, will-do value.
That's kind, Martin. Thank you.
That's really sweet of you, Martin. Thank you, and very much appreciate it. The point about what we try and do on MRS is, and I say it so often, it's not judgmental. I mean, I think you tune into so many other places, and the attitude is, I'm the presenter, I know everything, and you're a twat, and you're the listener or you're the viewer, and you don't know what the hell you're doing, and I do. And my view, and Neil is totally the living example of this, is we're all in this shit together. We're all in it together. No one person has all the answers. All of us are flawed. We're just humans doing the best that we can. That's the point of MRS. There's no, huge intellectual. But if we help, our job is to try and help. But we help by being in it together. Neil's more prescriptive than I am because I think Neil's much more spiritual. I'm kind of more hands-on. That's the point. Sen says, that's true, Martin. I made some good friends through MRS. Good. Excellent. What have we got? Guys, Monday morning won't be Monday morning without you, guys. That's so kind. Would you like to read that out? I can't finish it.
Monday morning wouldn't be Monday morning without you, guys. My lifeline, my wake-up call at 7 a.m. There you go.
Wowza. Well, that's
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Terrific. Elizabeth, thank you. Neil?
I like this from Richard. ultimately, the only person I compete against is me. It took me
Totally.
years to learn this. I know I'm
Yep.
confident in my abilities. Yes, I've seen your work, but my own harshest critic. So I've
Amen.
also learned to be internally constructive and analytical in my self-criticism, which leads to growth. Yes, very much so. That's something we could do
Richard.
episodes on.
Richard, I
That
couldn't
little inner
agree with
troll.
you more. Well, you talk about it so eloquently. Richard, people often say, "Oh, do you play sport?" And I go, "No." They go, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm not interested in beating anyone else. It doesn't interest me. I'd never interest. I don't want to go and play tennis and say I beat Neil at tennis. I couldn't give a shit. It's no interest to me."
No,
The
I play
only
tennis because I
person,
enjoy playing tennis.
no, that's totally different. What I'm saying is, but you don't play it. I've got to beat Fred. I got to beat Ken Evans, and if I don't beat, I've had a terrible. I mean, I've seen people, I've been on holiday and they've lost tennis. I'm like, for Christ's sake, it's a game. Shut up about it. The only person I want to beat, and is me. That's it. I'm not interested in competitive sport. I get no satisfaction from beating somebody else at whatever it is. I don't care. Monopoly, it doesn't interest me. The only person I want to beat is me. That's it. I understand competitive sport. I'm not stupid. I totally understand people's mindset. It's never appealed to me. Never, ever appealed to me at all. Not that I don't mind watching it. Totally different thing because I'm not involved. Of course, I watch Formula One. Love it. I don't watch anything else really. I don't actually watch anything else because I don't care. I'm not into sport. What have we got? Aza saying this. Neil, what does it say?
I wholeheartedly agree. Elizabeth Green says, I love these opportunities, even if I'm only catching bits and pieces as I work. You're welcome, Asa.
Well, for a man who's a clock maker, a craftsman, a bit low.
Horologist.
I'm just saying. A man who's a clock expert and makes beautiful clocks. It's like 10 to 1. Just saying. Just putting it out there. Oh my goodness me. Anyway, because of you guys watching and listening all over the world, behind the scenes, we are working so hard to try and enlarge what we do at men's radio and women's radio, make it bigger, make it better, make it even more exciting, make it more accessible. So there's a lot of stuff. Better late than never. Robert Van Buren. Can I tell you, I gotta, so we're doing stuff behind the scenes. It will take time, but we'll get there. I got to tell you this, Neil. This will appreciate. I hope you'll appreciate, especially because you've got your mate Richard on, who you said was a DJ, right? And
a very good one.
And we always do the joke about Robert Van Buren sounding like a Swedish DJ. So this is true. And somebody told me this story about 3 weeks ago before my life, because I haven't been able to do anything for about 3 weeks. And they're sitting in a club. And a guy called Rocking Dave, who's one of our Soho pals. Neil, this is a visual gag. You have to watch this as well. He didn't like the music. So he goes up to the bloke. The bloke's doing this, like I always do when I'm joking about Robert Van Buren and your friend Richard. And he goes, "All right, mate, I don't like the music." There's Rocking Dave. The guy, he thought he was the DJ spinning the decks. He was washing the pots. He was so pissed. The guy's doing this and he thinks he's spinning the decks. He's washing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's rocking. Oh my.
Oh, that's brilliant. What I don't understand is when people learn you're a DJ, they kind of feel the need to kind of do that. And I've never understood why people do that. I don't go up to people in the course of their everyday life and mimic what they do for a job. I don't go up to waiters and do this. You know what I mean? I don't go up to dairy farmers and do that. Yeah.
I got a question for you. I forgot. Yes, when you're in a cafe and you've had a coffee and you want the bill.
Yeah.
And you used to go, and this is a question for everybody. I want your advice on this, right? You go, "Could I have the bill, you kind of suddenly become Marcel Marceau, for Christ's sake, and you go, can I have them? And you're like signing your name on the palm of your hand, right? Nobody does that because we haven't signed one of those flimsy forms for about 1,000 years. Really, what should the sign be? Should it be, if you're not watching this, it will make no sense. Should it be because it's now contact? Or should go, do you like a receipt? No, thank you. It's fine. Got enough shit in my pocket. Don't need more pieces. What are you doing now? What do you think the sign should be now?
Or just,
well, that could be, I enjoyed the coffee.
It could be.
This is, yes, Russ, I've seen people do that. So, of course,
by the way,
the other thing is, what? What's up?
Well, no, you finished. I'm going to throw forward to Wednesday. What we got coming up?
Throw forward to Wednesday. I'm kind of
our legal eagle on Wednesday, because we have a half-hour legal segment on Wednesday. It normally extends because she's brilliant at taking complex law concepts and making them ever so easy.
She's amazing. Absolutely.
We love Hattie Savari.
We love Hattie.
Wednesday, it's warranty versus statutory rights, busting the myths and what you need to know. We're going to be doing that on Wednesday because the law can be complex, and when it's an ass, we kick it. Hattie Savari on Wednesday.
Did you just think of that?
Yeah. Warranty versus statutory rights, busting the myths and what you need to know. Hattie Savari, Wednesday from 12:30 or a bit earlier.
You know what? The great thing about Hattie, and you think of people like Professor Brian Cox, is they take incredibly Brian Cox, obviously, with the universe and science, Hattie with the law, which is a tangled mess at the best of times, and they break it down into very digestible chunks that everyone can understand. They don't try and blind you with science, no pun intended. When Brian Cox speaks, he takes, same with name's gone out of my head, Deepak Chopra. That was it. Incredibly complicated physics and science and metaphysics. And they break it down. You think, yeah, I get that. I understand that. I've had
Deepak Chopra is the godfather of
of
metaphysics and spirituality. Big Deepak fan. Everyone loves a bit of Deepak.
I went to a lecture a talk he gave at the Royal Geographical Society, a beautiful building, many years ago. It's been about 25, 30 years ago. And he walked on, no notes, place was packed. A friend of mine said, what are you doing? I said, you want to see Deepak Chopra? Yeah, come on. And just sat there, and he started to speak. No notes. He spoke for 2 hours and took the audience, me included, into the most complicated realms of science and physics and metaphysics. And he brought us with him. What a freaking gift. What a gift that was. It was terrific. He did one thing, which I put in my last book, The Gatekeeper. I absolutely took it completely about what is reality. And it's this, I'll be very quick. All he had on his desk, as I said, not one piece of paper, nothing, was a single rose in a little vase. And he said, what have we got? And we all went, it's a rose. He said, yeah. And what do you see? And we go, it's a red rose. And he goes, yeah, you see a red rose. A dog sees a black and white rose. A snake, and then he went through another list, doesn't see it, senses it by sonar. So the rose is a series of sonar blips. So he said, my question to you is, what does the rose actually look like? Taken the flower and made us think of all the different ways that the flower could appear. Freaked me out, actually. I've never
so it's all a matter, what you're basically saying is it's all a matter of perception.
Completely. What is yeah.
So that means at some level, there's absolutely no absolute right and no absolute wrong. It's a level of perception. And I think Deepak Chopra's universe doesn't operate on right or wrong. They're human invented constructs that we've invented to create sanity, to create safety, to create security.
There's little Ken.
Well,
we don't know what he's doing
Sorry
there.
about that. I
Ultimately-
didn't know I was coming into the studio.
Oh, but you're there. You're very
What a
welcome. What,
escape.
and the question we want to know is, what does Ken really look like? We'll never really know now. And the other thing Deepak Chopra says, very, very quickly, just to round this off, here's a little thought for you. Who are we really? Because every 7 years or something, every cell in our body has been replaced. Every cell. We're not the same person we were 7 years. It's completely reconstructed. So, who are we? And to answer that, we'd have to know what constitutes the real Neil, the real Russ, the real Ken.
Well, I say don't focus on the body, focus on our souls.
Very nice. And Graham Pack finishes with this little cracker. I prefer Quality Street to Roses. Thank you, Graham, for bringing us back to reality. Neil and I will be back, God willing,
Whatever
on
that
Wednesday with the fabulous, we don't know, with the fabulous Hattie Suvari. Stay safe. Been lovely being back with you. Take care, everybody. Neil, as always, total pleasure. Love you, man.